We're live, Polly.
All right. Good morning. We're coming to you live from South Mississippi, and we're gonna try to fish for an hour or so, maybe a little longer. Just hopefully on how everything holds up and how the fish are doing. And we are on a small lake in Mississippi. We kind of got thrown a curveball. We were going to do this on a state lake called Boghoma, which is just outside my hometown of Laurel, Mississippi. But they closed all the boat ramps because of the coronavirus deal. So we kind of put us in a little bit of a pickle. But I think we'll have some fun. It's April 9th, so we're probably gonna stay on the bank most of the time, throw some top water and several different kinds of baits, and hopefully we'll learn something and we'll catch some fish. I'm sure there'll probably be a lot of small fish and maybe even some real big ones. But what we're gonna do is, to start with, I'm gonna set this Garmin unit up to draw the contours on this lake. So all I got to do is go to quick draw contours and start recording, and we will, as we go along, we'll start drawing the contours on this lake. I don't know a whole bunch about this lake, so it's going to kind of be a hit and miss deal. But I've noticed just sitting here waiting to get started that there's some moss under the water growing, so that's probably some good cover for the fish, but also might make it hard on bait choices. But to start off with, I'm gonna get these power poles up. Well, if I'd hit the up button instead of the down, they'd probably come up. So here we go, man. We're gonna start off with a whopper plopper topwater bait. I don't know how big a fish are in this place, but this whopper plopper will usually wake one up. I'm throwing this on one of my new signature brewing Elias Legend Series reels, which they're going to be available probably in about a month on Sportsman's Outfitters and Brewing Outdoors. And that's something I really need to tell y'all as we get started. After the broadcast today, if you will like and share the Brewing Outdoors page, www.brewingoutdoors.com or www.sportsmansoutfitters.com.
I think that's going to be the Facebook pages.
Go to the Facebook pages, right. and like and share, and you will be registered into a drawing where we're actually going to give away about $1,000 worth of stuff, not to one individual, but to several people. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities to win. I mean, you can win anything from one of my new reels to a pack of lures or whatever, but we're going to give away a lot of stuff. So you'll definitely want to do that. Let's see if we can. Golly! Oh, that's a good start. He smoked that thing. I guess there are good ones in here. Look at that gal. She came unhinged on that top water bait, didn't she? Come over here, little gal. I'm throwing this on 30-pound braid, so that's bass braid, but that's a good way to get started, I guess. Oh well, at least it wasn't the first cast. Of course, I don't believe in all that nonsense. I like to catch them. I don't care if it's the first cast or the 1,000th cast. That's a pretty good fish to start with. We got a nice morning. I mean, it's overcast. The wind's supposed to blow out of the north. But there you go. 3.5, 3 3/4 pounder, maybe 4. I like getting started like that. What do you think? Y'all feel, as you tune in and you want to ask any questions, just fire away, because we're going to answer questions all day. Doesn't, anything about the past, or present, or future. Just, I'll share any kind of knowledge I got with you. Fish was in real shallow water. I guess they let me know right off they will bite a top water bait. My old buddy Wes Morgan is on the camera on the phone, and he, with his ingenuity, he got us hooked up with a mic to his phone. So hopefully we're gonna have some, even in the wind, we'll have some good audio. Don't know how long his battery will last, but we're gonna fish till it goes dead.
You got a person that wants to know, do you tie directly to the whopper plopper, or do you use a swivel or snap or anything?
I tie directly to the whopper plopper. I don't care much for swivels or snaps. Sometimes I'll put a mono leader on there. I don't put a fluorocarbon leader on the top water plug, because it'll make it kind of nose down on you. But if I can get away with it, I tie straight braid.
I had a question about the water temperature, so I just gave a shot of that.
Yeah, like I said, April is, it's shallow water time. That's all there is to it. That old wind's gonna try to pick up on us pretty quick.
What color braid do you prefer?
I just like a greenish brown, just anything that's kind of camo. But one thing about most braid is it's going to start losing its color because you can fish it so long. So I just keep a marker with me and mark, put a black mark, take a black marker and just mark the 3 or 4 feet up the line. And, and normally that'll do it.
We're probably going to have some people that's joining in that doesn't know where we're fishing, so give me another recap where we are today and why.
Okay, well, we are on a little small lake in South Mississippi. We were going to go to a state managed lake called Boghoma, just outside my hometown of Laurel, Mississippi. But as I said earlier, because of the Corona deal, they've closed all the state ramps, and so we were kind of stuck. We had this thing scheduled to do, and I thought, well, we'll get it done somewhere. And a good buddy of mine let me come out to this lake. So we're gonna map this lake for him, and we're gonna see how many fish we can catch out of it.
You prefer to fish the whopper plopper on calm water or choppy water?
I found that a kind of what's going on right now, this type of little breeze blowing on the water is probably better. And depending on what you got underneath, like I said, we've got some moss growing in this shallow water. It's not topped out or anything, but that helps, and I'm sure there's still some fish spawning here with the water temperature 74, 75 degrees. Some of them have spawned, and some of them are still spawning, but they're still going to be hanging around in shallow water. So we'll probably fish shallow most of the time. But I like a little bit of a breeze on the water. Of course,
What size whopper flopper is that you're doing?
this is the next to the biggest one. I'm not sure on the numbers. I think it's a 115, 120. I don't know. It's not the big musky one, but it's the next one down.
What's your go-to bait if you had a choice for shallow water in April this time of year?
You know, some type of top water plug, like this whopper plopper, or a walking type bait. A popping bait's really good, and I also like to throw, Mans has got a new worm out called a Springer worm, which I like to rig wacky style and go around the bank throwing that. It's a real good lure. We're gonna show you about that during the broadcast. But there, when it comes to beating the bank, there's, from a spinner bait to chatterbait, there's so many choices. But there's nothing more exciting than watch one do what that one did just a while ago, blow up. Now this, if this wind picks up too much, I'll probably have to go to a chatterbait or a spinner bait or some type of bait under the water. And another real good lure that I'll throw some today is a baby 1 minus, a Man's baby 1 minus. It can be an awesome bait, and it'll probably come over the top of that moss. There's not going to be a whole lot of baits that I can throw that will come over the top of the moss. And one neat thing about what we're doing today, we're just fishing. So I mean, if I look at this live scope and see a school of fish out there, and I can't. Oh, there's a leak. Oh, that's a giant. I'm gonna put the. Holy smoke! Golly, that was an awesome strike. Ain't gonna jump again, man. Pour a little bit of drag. This reel's got such a smooth drag on it. 22-pound drag. That's a big fish. I didn't expect all this. That's a long fish. Come here. Stop that. Got a mouthful of treble hooks. Wow. That's pretty exciting. And it's, right now it's looking like when they get after it, they're going to go ahead and get it. A lot of times they'll boil it or miss it or whatever, and I'll throw that little Springer worm or something back in there on it. But right now it doesn't look like I'm going to have to. Man, she said, I'm going to get you. God, I stuck her. I re-stuck her. There we go. Well, first 2 bites have been pretty handy. Boy, those are healthy fish. He manages his lake well. What an awesome fish. What an awesome blow up. Thank you, Lord. Heck of a deal. What I was going to say, if they keep doing that, I probably won't do it. But I mean, if I see a school of fish on this live scope, and I can't get them to bite, I may throw a crappie jig out there and catch some crappie to eat. Because all we're doing is, I forgot to put my power poles down. All we're doing is fishing.
Is that the stock hook on the popper flopper, or are you upsizing them?
Yeah, I didn't upsize them, but I changed them to Gamakatsu trebles, heavy ones, heavier gauge.
You got a question question about your new reels. Can you give them more information about the new reel?
Yes, this new reel. Let me, I'm gonna kind of explain about this reel and about Bruin. I know a lot of people probably haven't heard the name Bruin. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in there, Bruin had some really good rods out. Well, after that kind of went away, and then the thing that Bruin does is they take a real premium product and they research it, find out everything about it, where it's being made, the factories that make the premium stuff. This reel isn't made in China. This is a really premium reel. And I didn't design the reel, but we've tested this reel for like over a year. We've been doing prototypes and stuff, and the main thing we wanted to do is make sure we put, there's another one. I'll get all this. That's not as big. I'll probably have to quit fishing to talk. That's probably a male bass there. Yeah.
What speed reel is that?
But this is a 7.3 to 1. We've got 4 models of this reel. I'm gonna have to get some pliers. We've got a 5.3 to 1, which is basically a cranking reel. Oh, I don't want no 2-minute penalty. It's funny how you get in that habit now. But we've got the 5.3 to 1 cranking reel. We've got a 6.2 to 1 reel, which is, to me, is a pretty versatile reel. You can throw square bills with it. You can throw medium diving crankbaits with it. That's what I like to do anyway. And I like to throw a spinnerbait on especially a little bit bigger spinnerbait. I like to throw it on a lower gear ratio reel. And we've got the 7.3 to 1, which is the one I'm using now, which is my favorite as far as gears go, to be versatile and do everything. And then we've got a 8.1 to 1 that for ripping baits like rattling baits and lipless crankbaits and things like that, baby 1 minuses. But we'll probably use at least 3 of the reels today. But I guess the main thing you want to get out of this is this is a premium reel at a very quality price. So when they get out, you want to check them out. You can go to the Bruin Outdoors page and the Sportsman's Outfitters page, and they'll be on there and they'll tell you everything about them. But they are awesome. I mean, just awesome reels. I've been really impressed with them.
And we're going to be giving some away today.
Yeah, actually, we are going to give some away today. As we said earlier in the broadcast, be sure. Oh, Dad, go! They are liking that thing this morning. Oh, don't get too quick on him with that braid. Let me put these power poles down. Isn't it awesome, the kind of equipment? We've come so far in fishing, with the power poles. I don't know that I could even fish without them anymore. But, he pulled off. I was getting a little too hasty with him. But, this new Garmin trolling motor, this force motor, I mean, it is so quiet and so easy to take in and out of the water. And we were fishing yesterday, and I hit some stumps going actually too fast. And I can't believe how that shaft held up and everything. I mean, it's just all this equipment is just, I mean, these companies are coming out with so much good new stuff.
Daryl Martin wants to know how did winning the Bassmasters Classic impact your fishing career?
Well, it definitely was the biggest thing that kick-started my career, and fortunately I I turned around and I'd won the first year I fished BASS full time was in '79, and I won one of the BASS regular events on Lake Gaston, and then I won the Classic in '82, and I won another regular event in '83. So it kind of, I guess it let companies know that I wasn't just a lucky fluke one time deal, but it definitely, I mean, that stays with you. I mean, people refer to you as a Bassmasters Classic winner. I don't care what all you've accomplished and what you've done, but that's the main thing they remember.
Paul, how do you like your FX custom rods?
That's another thing I need to talk about. I really like them a lot. They have got such good actions, and they are so precise on their actions. I'm throwing this on a 6'9" medium action rod. It's got kind of a fast tip, but I can be real accurate with this with a shorter rod. But all their actions, that's probably the most impressed thing that's impressed me the most about the FX custom rods is their balance and the way the actions do exactly what they're supposed to do for the type of bait that you're fishing.
Why are you using braid instead of heavy mono with the plopper?
Whenever I can get away with braid, I like it. Now it's going to cost me a few fish, like that one there. That was about a 3-pound fish, and it pulled off. But if I'd been in a tournament, I would have probably taken my time a little more with that fish. But and naturally, if I was tournament fishing, I would have one rigged up on mono. And if I felt like I was losing, if I lost a few fish and I felt like it was because of the braid, I would go to the mono. Ooh. Oh, that's time for that worm right there. Let's get back on him with that worm. He boiled it. Well, I didn't stop myself, so I'm probably gonna get moss on that thing. That could have been a bedding fish. Should have had that up here and ready to go. Yeah, I got moss on it. I got one down there with a weedless hook that I'm probably gonna need to throw. As we get on into the broadcast, I want to tell you about this new Springer worm. This worm has got more action than any wacky rig nose hook bait I've ever used, the way it undulates and swims down to the bottom. But the neatest thing about this worm is it's got a spring all the way through it from one end to the other. And this thing is just, you see how I'm just holding that hook there, and you see how it's shaking. Well, it just quivers all the way down to the bottom. And I mean, I've caught a ton of fish on it. You can go to the Man's Bait Company website and find out about it, but you'll see throughout the day I'll be picking this thing up, and I'm sure I'll catch some fish on it. But it's just an awesome bait. But right now, I'm gonna get back to that whopper plopper.
Okay, I think we got some people that came in late that want to know, how do you win one of the reels? How do you get in for the draw info?
Okay, what we're doing, as soon as this broadcast is over, if you'll go to the Brewing Outdoors Facebook page and the Sportsman's Outfitters Facebook page, and like and share, that will enter you into the drawing. And so once you get entered into the drawing, you're good, and we'll definitely let everybody know who won and what they won.
I think we're gonna let the winners know tomorrow.
Yeah. So, you know, be sure and get on there and like and share, because I mean, there's some, you know, you're
Tag your friends.
Yep.
Tag your friends. Tune in.
Yeah, because this is going to be it's going to be an awesome deal.
I think they got a crossbow to give away, and they got a crossbow. They got an angler fishing bow for carp and bar and stuff, and a couple of your reels, right?
Yeah, we're going to give away some reels. We're going to give away some lures, I believe.
Yep.
So it's, you know, it's going to be a neat little deal. Man, this thing, everything looks good, because I mean, sun's not up. You can't see what I'm seeing as far as this moss is in there. I'm sure that's the fish are around it.
What's the water temperature again?
The water temperature is 74 degrees. There's a little guy. He just came up, he wasn't that little. He just came up there and sucked it in. See if I can get that one in without losing him. Little guy. I thought he was smaller than that. See, he's barely, that fish was barely hooked. That's a little male bass, probably garden. Take advantage of this low light. I can't see well enough to see if there's any beds.
What sunglasses and lenses do you have on, Paul?
I have got prescription Costazone, and I've got the, I believe these are these are the Blue Mirror. I've got two pair, but these are the Blue Mirror, which is really a little bit. There's a bed right there. I think, which is a little bit dark for right now, but on a bright sunny day like we're gonna have today, to me that's really the only way to go. Let's see if that got a bed on. That's a tire, actually. It looks like. Such low light, I can't tell. I see a log and a stump. I got this open hook, wacky. So. I guess that tire made it look like it was a bed. Sure looks cleaned off though.
How you liking your Garmin trolling motor?
I love that thing. That is an awesome, awesome, awesome trolling motor. I put it to the test several times, but yesterday I know I put it to the test, because I know what I've used in the past would have had a broke shaft yesterday.
It's the quietest motor I've ever been in.
Yeah, it is. It's very quiet. Better go aggressive while these fish are being aggressive.
I had a gentleman a while ago ask, do you prefer a straight standard retrieve with your flopper or stop and go?
I usually just straight retrieve it, you know, and again that kind of depends on the situation. You know, if I was around hydrilla and milfoil and stuff like that, there'd be some places like I might stop it by some clump. Oh, God, what a strike! Oh man, if you don't pull off, it'll be a miracle. These male bass are really aggressive. They've never seen this thing before, probably. Got it all up in the side of the head. Well, it ain't small a fish as I thought it was. Yeah, hook just fell out right there. Nice 2 1/4 pounder.
What's the length of the rod you're throwing?
This is a 6'9" medium FX custom rod. Sun's getting on out. That's a good thing and a bad thing. We probably have to go to a different type bait. You never know though. Water temperature where it is. It's like a bed right there. Right there. Oh, that little old buck bass could not stand the fact that that was coming over that bed. That's called calling your shot there.
What's your favorite color whopper plopper?
I'd have to say bone. I usually throw bone or black most of the time. There's one called, I think, monkey's butt is a color that I've thrown and done pretty well on, but I don't mix up the colors that much.
What's your favorite bait on Rayburn?
Well, my favorite bait on Rayburn is a man's 20 plus, because I love fishing Rayburn when the fish are out. But if I was gonna, now I've gone to some fall events there and done real well on the whopper plopper. But if I had to say a favorite bait for Rayburn for me would be a crankbait. I've done so well so many times on a man's 20 plus on Rayburn that definitely would be my choice.
How you like your bass cat?
I love my bass cat. This is my 5th one, I believe, 4th or 5th one, and they are just awesome boats. I mean, this boat, it's what amazes me. This is a big old boat. This is the Lynx model. This is the second Lynx I've had. I've run a Cougar and I've run a Puma. But this, I went back to this model because when I looked at the schedule that we were supposed to fish this year, of course Corona's messed that up, but we were going to some pretty big water, Champlain and back to that Wisconsin lake that got so rough on us. So I decided to go back with the Lynx, but this boat goes in, to be a big boat, and I mean it's got a tremendous amount of storage, but it goes in such shallow water. I mean, we had this boat in a foot of water yesterday, maybe even less. And I've been really impressed. I guess that's because of the width of the boat. Of course, you know, Rick Pierce he's a boat designer. That's what he does. He's done it all his life, and he's designed a fine boat here. But all their models, you very seldom run into a bass cat owner that's not bragging about his boat. Man, the sun getting up, I'm starting to really see clumps of this underwater moss. It's like a brown looking some type of deal. I don't know, I've never really seen that kind of grass.
What tips can you give a new tournament fisherman that's just starting out doing that, huh?
Well, you know, probably the most important tip as far as tournament fishing goes is you got to block everybody that's in that tournament out of your mind, and you got to say, I'm in this tournament fishing against the fish. If I figure the fish out, I'm gonna do well in this tournament. So, you know, to me, that's the most important thing. You've got to be mentally, golly, you've got to be mentally ready at all times. And you know, and I don't really excel at a lot of the things it takes, especially to be a tournament fisherman in the present. You know, I've really been impressed with these younger guys on the way they just pick up and fish the moment, and that, I mean, to me, that's the kind of stuff you've got to do. You know, and that's a lot of times I fail at that. But you know, my advice would always be, you know, you're fishing against the bass, and keep an open mind the whole day. Don't get yourself locked into a situation where you handcuff yourself and you're practically willing it to happen instead of making it happen. You know, and with the Major League Fishing format, you know, I'm having to learn the game all over again, because it's totally different. I mean, if I was fishing a Major League Fishing event, gosh dang, I ought to be able to catch that fish. That's crazy. If I was fishing a Major League Fishing event right now, I mean, I would stick with this top water as long as I could, but I'd know that sooner or later I've got to get something else going. Once that sun gets up, I gotta be able to move around, because I'm gonna tell you something. These boys, oop, I got a mess there. I can't believe I didn't fix that. I don't want to hook a fish there. I did that yesterday and forgot to fix it. But you don't want to. You can't go to sleep in Major League Fishing, I promise you. You know, when it's a 5 fish limit, you can you got some room to spare and you can do different things. But when and that 2.5 hour period in Major League Fishing flies by, and it'll blow your mind. Last year, minutes you were getting behind if you wasn't averaging. Now, you might catch 4 or 5 in a row and then go 15 minutes without catching one, but if you weren't averaging a fish every 12 minutes, you were getting behind. And now, I mean, that's a statement right there.
Ask the audience out there if they can still hear you.
Can y'all still hear me? How about it?
I don't know. I had this thing on Do Not Disturb, but it rang here anyway. It says, Michael Jenkins says yes, we can still hear you.
Okay. Boy, this moss is coming almost all the way up to the surface right here. Might catch us a big one out in here.
Okay, everybody says they can still hear you, so we're good to go on that. I just can't monitor it on my headset, so I'm trusting that everybody can hear this.
Y'all, if we lose our sound, please let us know.
The big dummy cameraman. Oh no.
You have to understand what I'm working with here. This bite's liable to go away here pretty quick. You see the last few just kind of slapped at it. We'll come back through there with something different.
Okay, since you're wired with a wireless microphone, Paul, sometimes they can't hear the question. So when I ask you a question, how about repeating the question?
Okay. All right. We can do that.
let's talk about your setup again for this top water section here.
Okay, I am using a 7.3 to 1 Bruin Elias Legend Series reel with a 6-foot 8-inch FX custom rod with 30-pound bass braid. Now bass braid is, I use white peacock fluorocarbon, and it's made by a company called Balsax, B-A-L-S-A-X. It's made in Europe, and you can actually find this line on Balsax USA's website, but it's 30-pound braid tied directly to the whopper plopper. And I think possibly the whopper plopper deal's fixing to go away, which is fine with me, but it sure was exciting for a little bit.
Why a whopper flopper, not a buzz bait? And I think somebody asked about a buzzing frog. Why do you like the?
Okay, the question is, why a whopper plopper instead of some other type top water bait or frog type bait? When I can get away with it, you know, you miss a lot of strikes on a frog. Oh man, you don't miss them when they hit it that hard. But that's a little buck bass. But if I can get away with using these big treble hooks, I'm going to do it. You know, I am not. All right, I'll let you go. Just calm down. I am not a big time frog fisherman. I throw it when I have to, and it is exciting. You know, I mean, and I've gotten to where I throw it more and more. I need to just keep these pliers on me, the way they're getting this thing. But when something's working, I stick with it. But you know, I'm sure I could catch some of these fish on a frog, and you know, but this is just kind of my lure of choice right now, because there's a couple of reasons why. Number one is I thought possibly these fish had never seen one of these before, which they're acting like they haven't. Golly. I've been trying to look to see if a big female swims up under one, but it looks like it's just mainly buck bass garden now. Oh, long buck bass there. You know,
Getting that one off, I've had several questions about when you were throwing the Springer worm, if that's a Bruin spinning reel, so you might want to.
okay, that is not a Bruin spinning reel. The question was I using a Bruin spinning reel on the man Springer worm? And no, I was not, because we are in the process of developing, of testing and getting ready to have some spinning reels, but it's going to be a while. So we're that's not a Bruin spinning reel. That is a FX custom rod, 7-foot 4-inch medium heavy spinning rod that I've got on there that I really like. It's really balanced. Oop, I boiled it right there. Throw that thing again and see. I've even caught them on this worm just kind of pulling it on top, just because it ekes back and forth so much. It's got a lot of good action on top, but it's going to be hard to throw this worm in this moss.
What's the coldest water you would throw a topwater in?
I tell you, we used to, friends of mine when we were coming up and learning about fishing and stuff when the buzz baits first came out, and when the water temperature got 52 degrees, we would start throwing a buzz bait, and everybody thinks that's cold, but the first BASS tournament I won on Lake Gaston, I won it on a buzz bait, and the water temperature was 54 degrees. And so, believe me, they'll bite it. Now, you're not going to get as many bites, but usually the bites you get are pretty good ones. I forgot to tighten that thing down. There we go.
On your worm rig, are you using a leader?
I am using a fluorocarbon 10-pound test leader. Did I put my poles down or up? I'm using a 10-pound white peacock fluorocarbon leader, about 6 to 8 feet long. I'm sure we'll be able to catch some fish out away from the bank.
Okay, so the person was asking why you were working the wacky rig so fast.
But the question is, why am I working this wacky rig so fast? And the reason is because of this moss that's on the bottom. I've got an open hook on this wacky rig, and even with a weedless hook, the moss is going to goo all up on the knot and the worm anyway. So that's why I'm having to bring it, and that's why I'm not getting any bites too, probably. But the neat thing about this worm, and hopefully as we go along, when we get off the top water bite, is the number of fish you can catch on one worm. I've caught up to 16 fish on one worm on this Springer worm because of that spring. And it's and that's where that, to me, besides the action of the worm, that's where it excels, because you'd go through 3 or 4 packs of regular plastic stick worms, or even more. Golly, they are getting off of it now. They're not hitting the buck bass. I saw that fish swim away. He didn't stay. He got it. Go. Lee. I don't think that was the same fish. I saw that fish swim off. I saw that fish swim away.
Okay, somebody wants to know why you swapped from bait caster to spinning reel.
Well, I'm using a lighter line. I can actually throw that worm, and I probably will rig it up that way. I can throw it on a bait caster with a 7-foot 2-inch FX custom rod that's designed for shaky heads with a bait caster. But I rigged it on a spinning rod because it's a little more versatile if you have to skip it or stuff like that, and plus you got lighter line, and usually I'll go to a bail type reel, but personally I wish I never had to pick one up. I throw a drop shot. I got a drop shot rigged up right now on that shaky head rod that I'm sure I'll end up using.
Okay, for people that's just joining in with us, tell us again where we are and why we're here.
Okay, we are in South Mississippi. We are on a private lake, actually a small lake, and the reason being is we were going to do this on a lake called Lake Boghoma, which is right outside my hometown in Laurel, Mississippi. But the state, because of the coronavirus, has closed all the boat ramps. The lake's closed to fishing. So, which to my understanding is all of the state lakes are, state ramps and stuff. So we had to scramble. We had this thing scheduled. We had to scramble to find us a place to do this thing, and we ended up here, which is pretty neat. We're getting some pretty exciting topwater bites. It's not as challenging as a bigger lake, but can still learn how to work baits and.
Plus you're mapping the lake.
Yeah, and I'm going along and mapping the lake for the owner as we go, and it's just a fun deal. We're just fishing, we're trying to give the Major League Fishing fans something to watch while all this Corona stuff's going on. Hopefully we'll be back fishing soon, but it's pretty big, I don't know how many of y'all been tuning in to all these guys fishing, but it's been pretty awesome seeing all these big names going and getting out here and going on their local lakes and stuff and fishing. It's a lot of fun. We got to be able to do something.
Okay, I've had several people ask about how you got into tournament fishing and how did you learn how to bass fish?
Well, you know what? That's a good question. The reason I started fishing for bass was when I was a little kid, and I had a Zebco 202. I was bluegill fishing, and I was reeling a bluegill in, and I came by a big old log with my bluegill and a big bass. Of course, it looked big to me. I don't know how big it was. Swam out there and ate my bluegill. And I thought, dadgum, I'm fishing for the wrong fish. So actually, at that time, I started rigging bluegill on a bobber just like you would a shiner, and started catching bass that way. And that's how I got started bass fishing. And one unfortunate thing for me was my dad. My dad was a big time bowler, and he slipped and broke his hip bowling when I was 8 or 9 years old, and he was crippled the rest of his life. They didn't have the technology back then they got now, and he didn't get to do a whole lot of outdoors things with me. Now he came to all my baseball games and all those sports that I played. He was there, definitely there cheering me on. But there was a man named Charlie Reddick that lived up the street from me, and I was riding by his house one day with a stringer of bass and bluegill on my bicycle, and he met me out there and started talking and invited me to go fishing, and that was kind of historic for me because I fell right in with those people, and they took me hunting and fishing as I was growing up, and I'll never forget it. But he's left this world now, but I still have some communication with his son and daughter. But it was an awesome deal. And I progressed. It just seemed like when I'd go fishing with my friends, I'd catch the most or the biggest, and I did, it was a form of competition for us, but it just stuck to me. I mean, I loved it. And when I first heard about Ray Scott starting bass and the tournament deal, I said, I'm on board. So I didn't come up with very much money. Like I said, my dad was crippled and we struggled financially, and so I went to college and everything. When I got out of college, my first goal was to stash the money to buy a bass boat and get started. And that's what I did.
Let's go back over our giveaway program today, Paul.
We're at the end of this broadcast, we are going to give away on a drawing about $1,000 worth of stuff, not to one person, but to several people. We're going to give away reels and all different kinds of things, baits and stuff, you know, just bows. I think Bruin's got an awesome crossbow and a bow fishing setup. So, but what you need to do is after this broadcast, go to the Bruin Outdoors Facebook page or the Sportsman's Outfitters Facebook page and like and share, and that will enter you into this drawing where we're going to give this stuff away. So I'm telling you, it's definitely something that you want to do. It's looking like we might have got out of we're in some real shallow stuff now. That shouldn't matter, but you never know. Wind is really picking up. It's out of the east right now. It's supposed to be out of the north.
What do you think about electronics these days? Has it been a big learning curve?
The electronics are, you know, I don't know if y'all probably been seeing this live scope, this Garmin live scope. Garmin's got such great technology right now, and it has been a learning curve, and the younger guys have definitely been better at it than I have. But you gotta stay on top of it. They come out with so much new stuff so quick, and they've perfected this live scope, and I'm sure they'll have the next generation deal that'll be better than this one, but I don't know how it can get any better. But yeah, it's been, you know, it's something that I've had to stay on top of. You know, when I did a lot of my damage offshore was I had to go out there and triangulate and search for places that I'd see on a topo map that were really hard to find. But you know, the neat thing about it was when you found them, you pretty much had them to yourself. Now, with the technology we've got now, you know, you got to find 20 places to get one because all these guys are so good at it. They're going to find them. I mean, you can't expect to. You know, I know we go to places like Gunnersville and Pickwick and Kentucky Lake, and you know, during the offshore time, shoot, you might lap the whole lake trying to get on a spot and not get on one. You know, that's just the way it is, but because of the electronics. But all the technology's just come so far. You know, like I was saying earlier about the power poles. I mean, you know, who would have thought? And then these trolling motors being able to hold you on position out of weight in deep water and in shallow water too. But you know, being able to hold you and keep you in place. The first time I used one of these type trolling motors was on Lake Cherokee when we went there several years back, and it amazed me the way the wind was blowing, and I could hit that lock and stay on my spot. I could go back there and cull and everything else and walk up there and just pitch right out, and I'm still sitting right exactly where those smallmouth were schooled up. So it's been a great deal. I mean, it's just gonna keep getting better. You know, these companies, they got the people and the know-how to get it done. You know, Garmin, when they decided to get involved, they got involved. You know, they're not fooling around. And all these companies aren't. But I have been real impressed with Garmin stuff, especially the live scope. We ought to get a big one back in here, I would think. It's pretty shallow, but How's our battery doing?
I'm sorry?
How's our battery doing?
On the phone?
Yeah.
I can't see it with this live screen up. So
Uh,
we'll go till it runs out, but I think we got plenty. Water temperature again is
Water temperature is 73.67. So it cooled off a little back in this shallower water. Just a little bit though. Whew.
someone wants to know, is that Sportsman Outdoor or Sportsman's Outdoors?
Sportsman's Outfitters. Sportsman's Outfitters is the Facebook page. Oh! Right when you walking back, wasn't it?
Yep, right when I walk back.
Yeah. Ah, he threw it. Dadgummit, Paul. Oh, man, they're in a little ditch right there or something. I'm glad I dropped the power poles when I did. That's a male bass. God, those males are hitting it harder than the females. Man, he wasn't going nowhere, was he?
And it double lip locked.
Yeah. Can't figure out how to. There we go. Oh, those fish both hit in the same. That might have been. I don't think it would have been the same fish. I had that other one hooked so good. We'll find out right now. I can see the outline of a little bit of a drop.
What color is that whopper popper?
Bone. The whopper plopper is bone. Might have been the same fish. I don't know. Let's see if we can't figure out what the. It's like a little bit of a drop there.
Brandon Johnson wants to know if you got any tips how to keep rust off the hook. Any pearls of wisdom on that?
Well, you know, a lot of these baits that you use have salt in them, so one thing you want to definitely do is not leave any lures that have salt injected into them on your hooks when you're not fishing. Is one definite thing, but you know, of course, you know, Plano is making tackle boxes now that really prevent your hooks and stuff from rusting. So you know, they're definitely, that technology's coming along pretty good. Keep all the moisture out. But that's basically, you know, you got to keep a little hook file handy and constantly be tipping the points of your lures. Can't believe I can't get them to bite a worm.
How often do you reline your reels?
Well, I reline my reels according to the kind of line that I'm using. Naturally, if I'm using lighter line, I'll replace it a lot more often. But during competition, I usually practice with the same line every day, and then once the tournament starts, I'll put new line on, and any of those rods that I feel like I've used and abused that day, I'll replace the line again going into competition. But You know, with braid, now you can, this braid that's on this reel, this bass braid has probably been on it for a year. You know, I don't hardly ever replace braid. So you can turn braid around and just reel it in from, from the opposite way, and you got fresh new line again. So you don't really have to replace braid very often at all. I use a jig a lot. A jig is one of my favorite baits year round, and I usually throw, the main two colors I throw are black, blue, and green pumpkin. Most of the time, if I'm around a bluegill bite, I'll throw green pumpkin. But probably if I had one color they'd only let me use, it would be black, blue. And I'll probably end up swimming a jig some today. We already been on an hour? Wow. We're getting to them as quick as we can. I know we're getting a lot of questions, and I'm trying to answer them. If we don't get to you, and you can go to my Facebook page, fan page, Paul Elias Fishing, and like and share my page. I'd appreciate it anyway. But you can ask me any question on there, and I'll try my best to get back to you on it.
Okay, got some people that kind of came in late and want you to recap how they can enter for the giveaway.
Okay, once again, once this thing's over, if you go to the Brewing Outdoors Facebook page or the Sportsman's Outfitters Facebook page, and like and share either one of those pages, that will enter you into this drawing to win the stuff that we're giving away. Like I said, it's going to be several winners. It's not going to be just one winner. So that's the way to do it.
The two FX rods you've been using today so far, which of those two rods has been right in the base?
I am using the 6 foot 9 inch medium extra fast tip FX rod on this whopper plopper, and the spinning rod is a 7 foot 4 inch. It's the 7 foot 4 inch medium with a fast tip. So I said medium heavy earlier, and I thought it was medium, but that I've used that thing all around. I mean, smallmouth, largemouth, the whole works, and I've been impressed with that rod. We'll get over here to this little islands in that point.
Down to 20% power.
That's why I figure we're gonna run out.
We probably go another 30 minutes. And let's talk about the reel again. What's the reel you're using?
I am using a Bruin Elias Legend Series. Every time I start talking about this reel, I get a bite. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Elias Legend Series 7.73 to 1 gear ratio reel. We have 4 models of this reel with different gear ratios. A 5.3 to 1 for cranking, and we got a 6.2 to 1 for all around, like square bills and medium diving plugs and stuff like that. And we've got the 7.3 to 1 for which basically all around fishing. And we've got a 8 1-to-1 for ripping baits. Throwing that big old thing into the wind.
Bill, there's a couple people asking is the Sportsman's Outfitters page in Alabama is the right one.
Yes, it is. They are in Dothan, Alabama.
What's the water visibility?
The visibility probably is about 2 feet, 1.5 to 2 feet. This is a little bit deeper. Excuse me. This is a little bit deeper water out through here. White pollen is something else. I'm going to throw my worm a little bit again.
Ken wants to know if you always use the steady retrieve on the water plopper.
Most of the time I do. I'll use a steady retrieve on that whopper plopper, but if I'm fishing around clumps of grass and things like that I feel like I need to slow it down when I come by something, I will. But most of the time I'm bringing that thing, just bringing it on back to the boat. But you know, there's all kinds of ways to work it. So sometimes you can work it like a devil's horse, or a prop bait, and get bites on it. But the majority of the time I'm just steady bringing it back. That is some kind of old stringy stuff. Almost like shrimp grass.
You got somebody from Portugal saying they see it watching you right now.
Hello in Portugal.
Got one from Kuwait. Out Point, North Carolina.
Well, it's been a heck of a morning. I mean, we hadn't caught a whole lot, but what we've caught's been we've had some decent fish in there. It's always exciting to be able to catch them on top. This time has flown by. I didn't expect it to go by that quick. No.
Newport, Louisiana saying hello. Hello from Lake Lanier in Georgia. One in Oklahoma. Trussville, Alabama.
Trussville, Alabama. I have no weight on this worm. Actually, what the spring, I got up in some real shallow stuff. The spring is has got some weight to it, so to me this thing falls just right. But we got a situation here where this grass is making it a little bit hard to use. Been everywhere and seen everything there is.
Might not have seen everything.
These fish act like they hadn't seen her.
asked about a trick worm. Why not use a trick worm or a square bill?
Well, I'd run into the, excuse me a minute. That gum, that pollen is,
A lot of pollen.
yep. A square bill, I'd be in the same situation, but I tell you a bait I can throw is a man's baby 1 minus. And it would probably, it would probably catch him. It'll probably top that stuff just right. This little lure, I came back from a bass tournament on Lake Okeechobee. It was at that time it was a really big event. First place money was about as high as you were seeing in fishing tournaments. And I finished second in the tournament. The fish were in the hydrilla. Ooh, golly, he smoked that thing. Dadgummit. Fish were in the hydrilla, and the hydrilla was up close to the surface. God, I don't know what I swallowed, but I swallowed something that's not good.
Well, that boat knot was covered in pollen.
Let's take a break here a minute. Golly. Woo.
That's water.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I got it. Sorry about that. But anyway, I needed a bait that would run a lot shallower than anything that was out there. And I actually, on my way back from that tournament, like I said, I finished second. Felt like I could have won it if I'd had a lure like this. And at the time, Mann's had the 20 plus, which was the deepest diving crankbait on the market. So I said, we got the deepest diving crankbait on the market. Why don't we build the shallowest diving crankbait on the market? And so that's kind of how this thing got started. And it's been a heck of a lure. It's caught a lot of fish, won a lot of tournaments. See, I'm throwing that thing up in about 1.5 feet of water, and it's topping that moss pretty good.
Yeah, everybody know you're okay. Just a big pollen.
Yeah, I'm fine. I got around that dock, I guess. I don't know what it was, but man, that pollen got to me.
I got 10% battery left, so probably in the next 5-10 minutes we could do a wrap up.
Okay. It's like we need to get one more top water bite. But I'm telling everybody, y'all need to go to the Mann's website and check that new Springer worm out. I know I hadn't caught anything on it, but I'm kind of limited to what I can fish here with all this moss, because obviously the fish are in the shallow water. But you want to check that thing out because it is an awesome bait. I've been totally impressed with it. You can watch a video that shows you how the action on the bait, and you'll be really impressed with it. Remember now, when we look, our battery is liable to go dead here. Hopefully we gave y'all we had some good quality audio in this wind, but in order to do that, we couldn't, had two following that thing. We couldn't charge the phone battery. We didn't think about that.
Well, we can't use the phone charger because we use the
Right.
microphone and the charging.
Right. So I'm sure there's a way around that, which we'll know for next time. But if we get cut off, if the battery goes dead or whatever, you know, remember once again, go, oh, there he is, 1 minus. Go to the Brewing Outdoors Facebook page or the, oh, he swallowed that thing. I wish I could weigh in to all the tournaments what I've caught on that little baby 1 minus. But go to the Sportsman Outfitters Facebook page, like and share one of the pages, and that will enter you into the drawing. Oh, I broke a hook. Golly, he swallowed that thing. That fish may have to go in the ice chest. Yep. Ain't no way around it. He's not bleeding. But, you know, enter the drawing. We're going to give all this stuff away. And when are we going to let them know who won?
I think we're going to draw winners tomorrow morning. And you know, just tell them one more time the Sportsman's and
Brewing Outdoors. Ooh, look at him tracking that thing. Brewing Outdoors Facebook page. See, that usually means you're throwing the wrong color, but I ain't really got time to change. Of course, the way that other one swallowed it usually tells you you're throwing the right color. So that might have been a spawner or something following it. Brewing Outdoors Facebook page, Sportsman's Outfitters Facebook page.
like and share.
Like and share, and you will be entered into the drawing.
All right, we probably need to wrap this up and conclude this.
How much battery you got left?
I can't tell.
You can't tell.
Just keep getting warnings every now and then that says I'm down to 5% or whatever.
Go ahead and get back, Wes. Cough on you. Dad, come it. Yeah. Thank all y'all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. We've had a really good time. There's a lot of exciting topwater stuff, topwater action, but enter our drawing. Brewing Outdoors Facebook page, Sportsman's Outfitters Facebook page, and hopefully you'll be a winner. Thank you.